The interior of the athletic facility was completely silent at midnight. The ambient air was dense, saturated with the historical moisture of heavy training sessions and industrial cleanings. A single high-intensity lighting array illuminated the central ring, casting long, sharp shadows across the canvas. Boris was completely focused on his routine, generating rhythmic, heavy impacts against the training apparatus. His physical structure was massive, a clear biological demonstration of elite conditioning and chemical enhancement. He operated with the absolute certainty of a man who has never faced a physical limit he couldn't break with his fists. I maintained a non-detectable position in the unlit zone near the storage lockers. In my possession was a customized pneumatic delivery device, engineered to operate with zero acoustic signature. It was loaded with a precise 20 milliliter concentration of potassium chloride, stabilized for immediate vascular introduction. I monitored his physical rhythm until his respiratory cycle reached its absolute peak. He initiated a maximum force movement, completely exposing the lateral zone of his neck. The device released the payload with a sound no louder than a human breath. The microdart achieved contact precisely in the jugular pathway, introducing the compound directly into his primary circulation before dissolving entirely. Boris suspended his movement instantly. His hands dropped from the apparatus. He touched the lateral zone of his neck, his fingers searching for the source of the minor sensation. He analyzed the dark perimeter of the facility, his chest expanding as he attempted to stabilize his oxygen intake. "Who is in this space?" he shouted, his voice vibrating against the solid concrete walls. "Present yourself." The subject attempted to transfer his weight toward the perimeter ropes of the ring, but the chemical intervention had already reached his myocardium. The human cardiac system relies on a delicate electrical balance of sodium and potassium to contract. When you flood the bloodstream with potassium, the electrical grid of the myocardium goes dark. The heart doesn't stop with a dramatic beat. It simply ceases to pump. It quivers like jelly. Boris's knees buckled. His massive frame crashed against the ropes, stretching them to their limit before he slid onto the canvas floor. He was a whale stranded on a beach, suffocating on his own mass. I walked out of the shadows and stepped into the light of the ring. I climbed through the ropes. Boris was on his back, his face turning a terrifying shade of deep, bruised purple. His throat clicked as he tried to draw oxygen into lungs that no longer had a blood supply to carry it. He looked up at me. Through the haze of his dying brain, he recognized my eyes. He had seen me standing outside his training camp days ago. He tried to raise his massive right arm, his fist clenching, still trying to fight, still believing that violence could save him from the laws of nature. I stepped forward. I placed the heel of my boot heavily onto his clenched fist, crushing his knuckles against the canvas. I leaned down, my face inches from his. "Your parents bought the police, Boris," I whispered, watching the light in his pupils begin to flicker and fade. "They told you that you were a champion, but you can't box electricity. You can't intimidate a chemical reaction. You took my sister's breath away. Now give me yours." His chest gave one final, violent, desperate heave. His mouth opened in a silent scream that never came. His eyes glazed over, turning into pale, cloudy marble, staring at the empty lights above the ring. I checked his carotid artery. Absolute stillness. To the coroner, it would look like a sudden, tragic heart attack brought on by overexertion and steroid abuse. A natural death for a violent man. His politician mother could scream and demand answers, but science does not leave a paper trail. I wiped my boot prints from the canvas, gathered my gear, and melted back into the shadows. 2 names crossed out. The executive branch of the crime had been amputated. The city began to whisper. The Deem had been found by his security detail 4 hours after I left him, lying in his own waste, his legs dead forever. The doctors told his billionaire father that it was a surgical miracle. Whoever did it knew exactly where to cut to ensure permanent paralysis without causing fatal blood loss. The elite were realizing that they weren't dealing with a street thug. They were dealing with a ghost who carried a scalpel. Boris was gone, and the structural safety of their world was fracturing at the base. They could hide behind their walls, but biology is a universal lock that fits only one key. And I held that key in my hand.
If you want to know what happens next in this clinical operation of revenge, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss the next episode. And remember, the full, complete story is already available on my second channel, the Red Vigilante. Stay safe, and see you in the next part.